Camellya has been on quite the journey since Wuthering Waves started development, and she is finally here for all to bring home. This guide will provide you with everything you need to know, so let's get started. First, let's go over a brief introduction to her kit so we're all on the same page. Camellya is a basic attack damage focused character. This means that her main source of damage is considered basic attack damage, even though you cast her resonant skill. The Forte is a bit different from what we've experienced until now. When you cast Camellya's intro skill and when you cast her resonant skill with maximum concerto energy, she will gain maximum Forte, and this is 100 stacks of Crimson Pistol. Using her basic attacks and resonant skill will consume her Crimson Pistols. Her resonant skill is on a 4-second cooldown, so you can use it when you do not have full concerto energy. After her intro skill is cast, you want to use up all her Crimson Pistol before you reach maximum concerto energy. This is because for every 10 pistols she uses, she gains 1 Crimson Bud, which increases her damage when you trigger her Forte. Once you've used her pistols and before using her resonant skill when her concerto is full, you should use her liberation. Her concerto energy should now be full, so you can use her resonant skill to consume 70 concerto energy to increase the damage multipliers of her basic attacks. This will build her concerto energy up again and allow you to cast her outro skill with even more damage. That is an overview of her playstyle, so let's talk about her weapons. Her signature weapon is her best in slot by a significant percentage. It provides 24.3% crit rate, which is her only source of additional crit rate. Her first sequence provides a crit damage boost, so I would highly recommend getting her weapon or any other crit rate weapon if you are planning on getting her sequences as well. The 5-star alternatives are around 14% weaker, and it's only worthwhile if you have one laying around. Blazing Brilliance's second passive cannot be triggered by Camellya, and Emerald of Genesis is a bit better than Blazing Brilliance when you have refinements to increase the rank, but at R1 they are equally as effective. Camellya's best 4-star weapon and completely FTP option is the event weapon Somnaya Anchor. This weapon has a really high base attack to match Camellya's high base attack and provides attack and crit rate from its passive. Camellya does not have crit rate from her kit, so any bit of crit rate is needed. Her overall damage with this weapon is better than any other 4-star options, so make sure you get all the refinements needed. With this weapon, you should use a crit rate echo unless you have Shorekeeper's crit rate buff and 9.3% and above crit rate per echo. If you are looking for a different 4-star option, an R5 Looming Gloss is the next best option, and it is better than an R5 Endless Collapse, but at R1 they are both equal in damage. And her best 3-star option if you don't have the event weapon or use it on another character is the Sword of Night. Alright, let's talk about Camellya's echoes because there is the question between which is better, the Crownless or the Dreamless. Firstly, Camellya's best echo formation is a 4-3-3-1-1 setup with both 3-cost echoes on Havoc damage bonus and both 1-cost echoes on attack percent. The 4-cost main echo stat is dependent on the weapon you are using. If you are using a crit rate weapon like her best in slot or Emerald of Genesis, you want to have a crit damage echo with at least 70% crit rate on Camellya. If you have any weapon that does not provide crit rate from its secondary stat, then you want to use a crit rate echo. When it comes to the 3-cost echoes, double Havoc is better with perfect substats. Using 1 attack and 1 Havoc combination is slightly worse with the same substats, but this is only when you have that extra attack from Rejuvenating Glow and Moonlit Clouds. In a purely solo environment, 1 attack and 1 Havoc will perform better than a double Havoc setup. Double Havoc is also the best when you're using Lingering Tunes. Speaking of echo set bonuses, Sun Sinking Eclipse is the best overall for quick swap and linear playstyles. Camellya can easily proc the 5-piece bonus early in her rotation to maximize the 40% Havoc bonus uptime. Lingering Tunes can be better for short rotations in a linear playstyle. This is because you need to stay on field for Lingering Tunes to proc the attack buff and fast enough for the outro skill bonus to maximize its difference. But you should know that Camellya can spend a lot of time on field to make up a large portion of her damage. For her echo skill, the Dreamless and Crownless come down to your playstyle preference. For damage purposes, it's better to use the echo with the better stats. They have a negligible difference because the Dreamless is faster without providing a buff and the Crownless requires some mechanics to shorten the on-field time while only providing a small buff. Camellya's substats are rather straightforward. Crit damage and crit rate are her best friends, and you want to push for 70% and above for her crit rate. The second best stat to increase her damage is attack percent. This not only improves Camellya's overall damage output, but it also helps her to reach that point where double Havoc is better than Havoc and attack percent combined. Her next best improvement for her damage is basic attack damage bonus. If you prioritize these stats, you will maximize your Camellya's damage potential. Blood attack and liberation damage bonus are honorable mentions. Heavy attack bonus and resonance scale damage bonus are not effective for Camellya. Right, that is all for the RNG of Camellya's build. Let's talk about her Forte priority. Most of Camellya's damage scaling is under her resonance skill. Using her skill puts her in the blossom state, which allows her to perform vining and blazing waltz. After her skill, you should prioritize her Forte and liberation. Her Forte provides more damage, but the damage multiplier is fixed, so leveling the talent does not affect her buffs. Liberation also provides a significant portion of her damage and should be prioritized third. Her basic attack and intro skill are down to your playstyle, but both are equally her last priority. When it comes to her sequences or resonance chain, Camellya turns into an absolute monster. All her sequences are for herself and her personal damage, with the exception of her S4 that buffs teammates as well. S1 provides quality of life and crit damage, which again means that you want to have her best in slot or a crit rate weapon to maximize this buff's potential. S2 is a direct damage increase to her Forte attack, and this doesn't affect her talent priority. S3 is a major attack increase for Camellya and makes running double Havoc 3 cost echoes even better. She also gains a small resonance liberation buff. Her S4 makes her great as a secondary DPS in a basic attack focused team comp with the likes of Encore and Yang Yang. This is also the best stopping point for her team functionality. S5 and S6 are both incredible damage increases for Camellya. Finally, we have Camellya's team comps. For a hyper carry team, Sanhua as your direct buffer and Shorekeeper or Verena as your team buffer is the best. Shorekeeper is a bit better than Verena in most cases where Camellya needs crit rates. In a dual DPS team, Camellya works with quick swap rotations with the likes of Changli and Shangliao, and if you have S4 Camellya, then you can consider using Encore as a secondary DPS. Danjin and S6 Havoc Rover are honorable mentions in a hybrid between dual DPS and hyper carry Camellya. Danjin does some crazy damage while providing a Havoc damage boost, and Havoc Rover provides a Havoc resistant shred. Yang Yang is also a great concerto efficient and crowd control option against waves of enemies. That is all for this guide. I will see you in the next video.